beautiful humans. Happy whatever day it is in your world today. As always, I am Riley, and this is Sex with Everyone. Today, I am interviewing Lilith in Decatur, Georgia, and she has quite the story of being sex trafficked and having to live as a prostitute for 10 years of her life. She was forced into that situation and forced to stay. And it's a hard story to hear, but a really fucking important one. I think we can all agree on that. This is a world that isn't discussed nearly as often as I wish it was, and I really appreciate her willing to sit down with me and share her story. So please join me, everyone, as I talk about sex with Lilith. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
No problem. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been wanting to interview you since I started the podcast. I was like, oh, I would love to interview Lilith. Because I know you have such an history. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces over the years of your story, but I don't know all of it or even most of it by any stretch. And so I thought it would be really interesting to get into it with you. It
would be fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've told many people, if you know me, you know. But if you don't, you'll never have a clue. And it's wild.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't believe it. And I'm like, yeah, you don't look like it. Well, what am I supposed to look like?
Right.
Worn and beaten? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
Well, I would love to just get into what your story is. I don't know where to start,
Ooh. We can start at the actual very beginning. And it's crazy to tell. And it's when I was 18, I was sold to a pimp. He, bad guy, not so bad guy. Looking back, he had his reasons. But at the time, I was just young, naive, and I didn't know what I know now. And at the time, my parents threw me out of the house, and I had nowhere else to go. And someone was like, hey, I know someone where you can stay. And he's got this job that, you can room and board, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, great. So I go, because again, I have nowhere else to go. And at the time, the only thing that I could do is just stay house to house. So what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I get there and find out what's really going on. That I was now his property and that couldn't really leave, didn't have much freedom. And then I'm like, oh, okay, what the hell? It's just wild. You're tossed into this world and then you're taught everything. Because I was young and I was, fresh faced, and I'm like, okay, cool. So it was scary to say the least. Started out on Metropolitan, Stewart Avenue is what most people call it back in the day, and kind of worked up to there to becoming like an escort, more high quality guys, took better care of myself. And it's interesting. I haven't really thought about some of this stuff in a long time. And it's just wild to kind of go back. It was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy ride.
How long were you an escort?
Started about 9-10 years, almost 10 years.
Wow.
Almost 10 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. It was a month short from being 9 years. Yeah. I call it 10 because at that point you just don't remember. But he started out a decent guy. Didn't hit me too much, as most do. He eventually got me clean off coke, which was kind of cool in the sense I don't have to do this anymore. And then you're like, okay, cool. So I'm seeing nicer guys, and it's 9 years. I tried to leave a few times, he would find me, and I'd have no choice but to go back.
What do you mean he would have no choice? Like, how does that work?
Basically, like he would come find wherever I was. If I was eating something, somebody saw me.
Yeah.
He had, I guess, friends looking out. I don't know who these people were. They would tell him, hey, I saw her, blah, 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 blah. He'd come get me, start this whole scene, and like forcefully, like, grab you by the arm, put you in the car, in the back seat, and like, it's going to be bad when you get back to the house. After a while, I didn't run away as much, only because I guess I took ownership in what I was doing, and I pulled strength from what I was doing and made myself bigger than what I was, and I've got control of this. I'm doing this because I want to, and we're going to work together, and we're going to get out of this. And, I believe in the dream that he has, and we're going to do this beautiful, beautiful stuff. And one day you've had enough, and you just can't take it. And it was wild when I left. He actually let me leave.
Really?
He let me leave. I had gotten back with my family. My dad, my parents aren't, my parents at one point in time were very against interracial dating, stuff like that. So that's the reason they threw me out the house. Mm. And eventually we got back to a point where we were okay with each other. My mom and dad had a lot of growing up to do and a lot of understanding to do. But we finally got to a point where I was okay. And I was seeing my family more and more and more. And he could see me tugging away from him. Mm-hmm. And he was losing his control. Mm. And at that point in time, I went to him and I was just like, look, I can't do this no more. Like, I want a regular life. I just want a house and kids. And I just want, I can't do this no more. And it was crazy. He actually cried for the first time I've ever seen him cry.
Oh, wow.
He did. And he was like, I love you. And that shit is so toxic. Yeah. Thinking back, I'm just like, it's toxic. But it was like, okay, I'm going to go be over here and you're going to stay over there and leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because when I came back home, my dad knew what I was doing. He found out, and man, my mom found out. That wasn't fun. They found out, and at that point, I kind of had to make a choice. It was like, am I going to be with my family, or am I going to go with this man who keeps hurting me and putting me in these dangerous situations where I'm getting hurt? And yes, I've got 3 houses by the time I'm 21, but what sense does it make if I'm doing what I'm doing? Like, I can find other ways to do this.
Right.
So you just kind of, and he let me leave, and it was wild because I thought right then and there that was going to be my life. Yeah. And I didn't know if I was ever going to see my sister again. And that was probably the hardest thing. But when he said, okay, and he gave me a hug and said, I loved you, and kissed me on the forehead, and I walked out, and I just left. Yeah. I never came back.
Did you live with him?
Yes, we lived together. We had, at one point in time, we had 3 houses.
Yeah.
A house in Alpharetta, condo Midtown, and a condo in Miramar Beach, Florida. Mm-hmm. So we had multiple things. We also had a construction company, and we, what else? Car lot, and we had so much other things that we were doing. Mm-hmm. But it was every business failed.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I can't keep doing this and keep, this can't happen.
Yeah. Did he have other girls?
Yes.
As well?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys all live together? Yeah.
For the most part. There was a couple girls that didn't, But eventually he, broke him in, and here you come and you're back. And now we're going to live together. And that was always interesting because I was a part of, getting their mentality where they needed to be. And that still affects me to this day, knowing that I can do that to someone. And the brainwashing and the manipulation that was done to me, I can actually do that to somebody else.
Oh, so you were kind of like house mom. Yeah.
I was what he called his bottom bitch.
Yeah.
I was the queen. You couldn't tell me shit. There was nothing he did without letting me know.
Yeah.
We were in a relationship. We were not in a relationship.
Right.
That was my dude. He knew what I did, and that's kind of where it went.
What was that like for you, being the bottom bitch of the household and kind of holding everything down, but also like perpetuating the abuse and the toxic, situation for these other women that are, I'm sure you saw plenty come and go and, all of the things. Like, what was that like for you?
At the time, it was very powerful because, I'm under this man who has taught me the game so well and got me to think that I'm queen of the fucking universe and I got everything that I could possibly need. And it was very powerful. It was very intoxicating. Yeah. It was knowing that if you wanted to get to him, you had to get through me. And that wasn't going to happen. Being this boss bitch and being this person, it's also uncomfortable because you're in charge of so much. If they have a bad day or, they don't bring the money home that they're supposed to bring, now I got to sit there and whoop the ass and I've got to do these horrible things and take things away from these people just like they're fucking children. These are grown ass women. And looking back now, it hurts. It hurts knowing that there are girls out there that were abused and manipulated by me. I feel bad about it every day. Yeah. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. Yeah. I was just doing to stay alive. And I didn't know any other way. I had no education. I know how to do certain things, but I hate to say I'm not that smart, but I'm worldly smart. I'm not book smart.
Right.
It just seems kind of boring and mundane to me, like sitting in front of a computer. That drives me insane. I want to be out doing something, and it hurts every day knowing that I affected somebody else's life. And even though they were in the game and they knew the quote unquote drill and they knew what they had to do, because once you're in the game, you know what you got to do. There is no questions. There is no buts. There is no bullshit. You're on your period. It doesn't matter. You've got herpes. It doesn't matter. You got whatever. Give a shit, bitch. Go get some money.
Yeah.
We got bills to pay.
Right.
And a lot of the girls, if they didn't, my particular one, if we weren't bringing home at least $1,000 a day, we couldn't come home.
Wow. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. So times 5 girls in the house, you're making $5,000 a day.
Yeah.
Cash money.
Yeah.
Free and clear.
Did you keep any of it? How does that work?
No. No money was ever kept between the girls. They all had to give it either to me or him. And 9 times out of 10, it was always him. Mm-hmm. He didn't even trust me with the money.
Yeah.
It was always hand him the money, give him a kiss on the cheek, and then you go get something to eat and take your ass to sleep and get ready for the next day. It was never, I get this. But the crazy part about that is, even though we didn't get to keep the money, whatever we needed, we got.
But you had to ask for it.
Yes.
Right.
I couldn't go to Walmart and just like pull out my card like I do now and just go get whatever the hell I want to. I have to ask. I need this or I need that, or, it becomes this now you're a needy bitch and you need all this and you need all that. But like I do, like,
Right.
and I don't want to fucking have to ask you because I don't feel like I should have to.
Yeah, you're not a child. Right.
It was crazy to see how much money would come in and out that house. A lot of the other girls had drug addictions and stuff like that, which is how a lot of girls get involved in this crap to begin with, because they don't have any other choice, and men are just, let me rephrase that, most men are just pigs and sex driven, and they'll give a woman anything if they can just get between. It's nauseating at how disgusting men can be. Ugh. I got a visual, I'm sorry.
If you don't mind me asking, what was it like actually like having sex for money and seeing different guys and the day in, day out, and I assume multiple guys a day and like all of that? What was that like?
So here's the routine. You'd wake up in the morning, get makeup, shower, makeup, and guys are the type where you have to shave. Women have to shave every day. So you've got razor bumps and dealing with all that. And that alone is a pain in the ass, especially if you got sensitive skin. And then you make up hair. Get to the hotel, maybe clock a date. That in that room, the only thing you can do is to try to appear bigger than you are, just like a peacock. Appear to be this bigger than life person, but you don't know if this man coming through this door has a knife on him, has a gun, has pills, can do anything to you, can overpower you. I've had that happen to you. It's scary, with the exception if you can own the room 9 times out of 10, and because they're there for one thing, as long as you give them the one thing, there's usually not a problem.
Yeah.
But they do have some psychopaths out there that will do some crazy stuff. I've only had it happen a couple of times, thank God. It was, I was in Orlando. I booked a date with this guy. He gets to the hotel room and he comes in, seems like a normal guy, whips out a knife. All right, here we go. This is going to be I'm going to die in Orlando, Florida. Like, this is where who would have thought, like, Disney World?
Right.
Like, and I can just see the headlines. It was crazy because I could see the headlines and I saw prostitute dead in Disney. That just looks great.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God, here we go. All right. And he puts the knife up to my throat. And, of course, the normal threatening, I'm going to kill you, bitch. You're a dirty whore, blah, da, 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 da. Well, you're stupid. You're the one that, booked a date with a hooker. So, who's the dirty one here? And he proceeds. And I guess looking back now, I guess maybe that was his kink, And the craziest part about that situation is he actually left the money on the fucking dresser. That part blew my mind.
You weren't expecting to get paid after
at
that.
all. I was figuring like you're going to run out and he didn't use a condom. Unfortunately, he did rape me. He didn't use a condom. And for months, I was so scared I was pregnant. That's before Plan B was so accessible. I just remember thinking, dear God, please just, and I remember, you should never wash out your lady parts, but I did because I felt so gross and I was just so scared that he had something.
Yeah.
Pregnancy would have been the least thing that I was worried about, but anything else. And he can just walk around this earth and do these things to these girls. And the crazy part is he's probably somebody's dad.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You're somebody's uncle, and you just did that to some woman. In that room, if you're not careful, if you don't try, especially back when I was at the height of my career, if you did not screen your people properly, you're going to get hurt really bad.
How do you screen people?
Usually what you'll do is you'll get their name, first, last. You'll get a cell phone number and a work number. Work number, something that you can associate, call like to a voicemail, look up. There's a reverse lookup, about, you can look up a lot. And this was before Facebook, so it was a little bit more dangerous back then. I would find ways with a reverse lookup and through Google at the time, which was shit. I mean, it was a lot, but it really wasn't because there were so many people and you can't. So you try to figure out the best you can. And also another way we would do it, some girls would, if they didn't feel like providing that information, because some people won't because, they're in a high position, they would give us 3 other girls that they went to go see and saw on a regular basis.
Okay.
Then I would call the girl or email her, hey, this is Lilith. I'm calling for John Doe, making sure that, he's a good guy. He's not crazy, nothing like that. Some girls would hang up on you and not want to talk to you. Yeah. There are some that would actually be like, oh yeah, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy. Spends all this money. Great. I called one girl. She was like, don't see him. I said, why? What happened? She's like, he's going to hurt you. He hurt one of my friends last week. He hasn't hurt me, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And it was wild. I was like, okay. So, of course, at that point, I had in my phone what I would call a DNS, do not service. And I would save that number. That way I would know who it was, and I know I'm not servicing this number because of this. This is also, again, before smartphones. So, it was a wild time back then. Dear God, I had so many flashbacks. But yeah, if you didn't screen properly and you just saw some random guy off the street, you were going to get either hurt or busted. Yeah. Which actually I got busted once.
Really?
Yeah,
I
got busted.
Like?
I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Right? Wild place. And I had a last minute cancellation. Something came up. Guy had to cancel. I said, all right, fine. So I'm trying to book, an in between because I still got to get some money.
Make your quota. Yeah.
And you're out of town, so you have to make more because of. Oh yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll have to get back to that. I know. I'm sorry. I'm probably story jumping.
No, you're fine.
But that was fun. So I go to book the guy. He said he's seen this, that, and the third person. I was like, all right, fine. Call that person. She didn't answer. I called him back. I said, well, unfortunately, she hasn't responded yet. As soon as I can get this, screening done, I'd be more than happy to see you. He was like, well, I'm kind of on a bit of a time crunch, da-da-da-da-da. And looking back, I shouldn't have taken it. Right. I should have just let it go. But I was like, all right, fine. You seem like a nice guy,
Right.
You seem like a nice guy. Nope. Guy walks in and I'm dressed in this little black dress that is really low cut, very tight fitting, halter top. Mm-hmm. I've got fishnets on and some 6-inch stilettos. So I've already looked like an Amazon goddess with blonde hair down to my ass. And a guy walks in and we do our, hello, how are you? Lilith, how are you? What's going on, John? Da-da-da-da. I was like, all right. I said, so I'm going to go in the bathroom to freshen up. Mm-hmm. That was always their key to leave my stuff because I'm going to go in here for like 5 minutes, check in with my pimp, tell him I'm okay. I'll give you a call back in however long the time was scheduled for. Right. And then I leave. Because I leave my cell phone in the bathroom because I know I'm coming right back.
Right.
So I get out and he's standing there with some handcuffs. And I'm like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
are you into this type of thing? Like, that's
right. You're just going kink immediately. Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, but you're not about to handcuff me.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
right.
But I can do some shit to you. He's like, no, actually, I need you to sit on the bed. You're arrested. For what? You know what for. Let's not even play this game. You
didn't perform anything, and you didn't get paid for anything.
Right.
So,
and I probably should have gotten a lawyer but again, the pimp didn't want that to happen.
Right.
You know,
right.
He said, I'm going to get you a lawyer. I'm going to get it taken care of. Da-da-da-da-da. He never did.
Yeah.
So, I really don't know what even become of that, to be honest with you. Between me and you. But yeah, so I got arrested. It blew my mind. As I'm sitting there, because they moved me from the bed over to the little sitting chair, because they got that little sitting chair. I like to call it the cuckold chair. That's what it is. So I'm sitting in this chair, and they are tearing the fucking room up. Like flipping the mattress, looking through everything, getting my computer. And again, at the time I had 2 phones.
Yeah. One
for work, one for my personal.
Right.
They're like, oh, we're going to take this phone too. I said, no. That ain't got nothing to do with that. Put it down.
Yeah.
The computer, the phone, you can take. Anything else? No. And surprised they actually listened to me. I was like,
that is surprising.
Weird.
Yeah.
But they took the money that I had in the room, which I think was only like $400, maybe. Not much. And I think I came with that money.
Yeah.
Because I always had pocket change. He always made sure I had pocket change.
Right. Just on a trip.
So yeah, they booked me in jail, and of course I'm calling him, cussing him out, like, bro, like, come get me, like,
right.
Get me out of here, like, I'm not built for this shit, like, I want to get home. So a few hours later, they let me go, and I go back to the room, and he's like, so you about to get back to working? I was like, bro, I just got out of jail. Don't you think this shit is hot right now? Do you not think I need to leave?
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Right.
Like, I shouldn't be here right now. I need to get home. So he, after many, many, many arguments and many, 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 many minutes, he's like, you know what, fine, just come home. Yep. And when I got home, he didn't hit me because at that time I was too pretty to hit, and he didn't want to leave any bruises. He just yelled at me a lot. Like, yelled at me and was like in my, like, I was damn near melted into the couch as much as he was yelling. And it's like, you stupid bitch, you should have done that. What the hell do you want me to do? Right. I didn't know. If I would have known, well, you should have. You're right. I should have. You're right. You're absolutely right. I should have. And that was my fault. Yep. But I've done it before and never, but there's always that one chance. Jesus. I forgot all about that.
So this may be a weird question.
Not at all.
Were there any good times that you had during that time in your life? Were there any I don't know, positive experiences within that? Or interesting Johns that you saw that would be regulars and develop some kind of emotional connection to that were actually fairly good people, or not really?
Not really.
Yeah.
I kept a tight grip on me because I know, and the way I was taught in the game was the closer you let these people come, the more they can destroy you. Mm. So why would I give anybody any ammunition? Yeah. So you kind of keep it,
transactional.
Very transactional. Yeah. We don't talk about much. How was your day?
Right.
What you been doing? How's work? Yeah. And I had a couple guys who wife was in some form of terminal cancer or whatever, and I was like a surrogate because she couldn't but she knew, she just didn't want to know. And he'd make an appointment at the wildest times, and it'd be like 2:00 in the afternoon or like 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay. He's like, well, I'm going to tell her I'm going to go grocery shopping, but I'm going to have somebody else go grocery shopping for me so I can come see you and come back with the groceries to make it look like, I was like, actually, that's freaking smart. Like, whoever your friend was, I hope you bought him dinner at least.
It's a damn good friend.
Like, I had a pastor once. When I found out he was a pastor, I had to stop.
Really?
I quit it altogether.
Why did that bother you?
I guess because of the way I was raised. Being raised Southern Baptist, you're a pastor. What the hell are you doing? Like, you're spending church money on a hooker?
Yeah.
Who does that? Like, but then as you get older and you know what you know and you see them, like, they were just a man.
Yeah.
They were a man. You are a man of a cloth, which is supposed to be holy and sacred. But at the end of the day, you still have needs just like anybody else. So I kind of don't feel bad. I do, I don't. But after that, I couldn't, because it was weighing heavy on me. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't do this. Yeah. Like, I'm taking somebody's bill money. It's bad enough I got the beliefs I have in the church anyway. I just don't have, you're taking somebody didn't have to give that to the church, and here you are. Oh, hookers.
Tithe money, yeah.
What is wrong with you? Yeah. Like, it just bothered me a lot. I've had a couple guys that would, ask me my birthday, and I'd give them some wild date that I don't even remember. And then they would show up on that day with some flowers to see me and like, oh, happy birthday. And I put a little extra in there for you too. And I'm like, it is my birthday.
Oh, right.
That's right. I did say. Damn it. That's funny. So I have, there was a couple really good ones, really nice people. And for the most part, it was very cookie cutter. We do what we do. You keep it moving. We're not discussing, if I see you out and about, please don't speak to me.
Right.
Excuse me, please don't speak to me. I have, shortly after I got out, I went to Lenox Mall, and I'm walking around, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, Lilith, can I help you? How do you know my name? Mm-hmm. I remember you. Do you remember me? And I'm like, no. Well, I was one of the guys that you've seen when I was, oh, okay. How are you? What's going on? Yeah. How's the job? What the hell am I supposed to say?
Right.
Well, I was wondering if, I'm great, blah, blah, blah. I was wondering if you were actually still working, because I've been looking for you for a while and I can't find you. I said, yes, and I got out the business. I'm not doing that no more. Well, I'll give you $1,000 right now. Just go back to the JW Marriott right back here. It took everything not to slap shit out of him.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. Like, I just told you I quit.
For good reason, for my mental health.
Right.
Because it was costing me my mental health.
Yeah.
It really was. I was getting more depressed, angry, mad as hell, when I should have been, in what people say, I should have been happy because I'm making all this money. Mm-mm. But no.
Mm-mm. No.
Like,
no. Some of the most miserable people are CEOs. Like, money does not equate to happiness.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a couple good girls too. I've had some really, really, really sweet angels. I've also had some very, very traumatic situations with a couple of the girls.
Like they were clients?
No. Some of the girls I worked with. I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you ever have women clients?
Crazy enough, I did once, and the only because I'm not bisexual in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. I do find women attractive. I think they are the most wonderful human beings ever. Soft, beautiful, feminine, beautiful. And all women are different, because you got some women that are a little bit more masculine. I'm like, oh, she's kind of sexy. But as far as being with a woman, that's never been my go-to.
Yeah.
I did once, though. And the only reason I did that is because I told him no on the phone. Strict no. I get there and it's him and his girlfriend. And there is $2,000 sitting on the table. So I thought about it and I was like, look, sweetie, like, I like you and all, but I don't return the favor, like, ever. Like, we can do some bisexual, crazy girl kissing, but that's going to be about as far as it goes. I literally am not, I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like penis. Can't do it. You can't even, darling, I can't.
Yeah.
And she finally got to be okay with it. But it was still a little weird because she didn't really get what she wanted on her end. And
Right.
I was like, that's why I told you no over the phone. I don't like girls. They're beautiful. I'll go to a strip club with you all day long. Mm-mm. 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 I don't mind if a girl goes down on me, but I'm not returning the favor.
Right.
Just not.
Yeah. Did you have any kind of personal romantic life during that time? Like, did you, date people at all?
Not for the first 5 years, no. There was a couple of times where I was able to get out of the game and run the businesses with him. And then, of course, I'd have to go right back. But there was a couple of times I've had, the first 5 years, no, because it was strictly getting money, trying, me and him. And in my mind, especially the first 5 years, I was really brainwashed. This was a new situation. I'm his property. I can't go nowhere. And I just kind of fed into it eventually. Yeah. Because what else? You just have to accept it at some point in time, or it's going to hurt you. So you feed into the crap. We have all these businesses, and I tried dating a couple guys. And when they would find out what I did, they didn't quite like it. And it was usually always a problem because, you're this whore and you're this horrible person. Da, da, da. And I'm like, that's not what you were saying last night.
Right. Right.
How dare you judge me right now? Because you like that shit that I was doing. Now you're mad because I'm getting paid for it. Like, I don't understand your thoughts. Even now, it's hard to date people because they don't, even though I don't tell people, eventually you're going to find out. I'm going to say something about an experience or something that triggers me and you'll be like, what? Yeah. So you're going to have to know, especially to deal with me. So it's easier if I tell you now as opposed to wait a year and then you find out and, oh, this is why you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I'm traumatized. Right. There's a difference. And it really does make it difficult. And when they find out, and it's, again, the same thing. You're a whore. You're this, you're that. You're the third. You're the devil reincarnated. Yes, bitch, I know. I'm Lilith. I am her. What didn't you understand?
How long has it been since you got out?
It's almost 29. I got out. Oh, not 38 now. About 10 years?
Yeah.
About 10 years. Jesus.
And people are still reacting about, learning about that part of your history? Wow.
They do. And they're like, if I tell women, I get a completely different response from them. Women are like, oh my God, honey, I'm so sorry. That must have been terrible. And I'm like, I mean, it was, but I wouldn't be the person I am today without it. Without knowing what boundaries you will not step over. Without knowing what I will and will not do. That's why I work as hard as I do, because I know at any point in time, I could be back on the streets and then I'm stuck. And then I'm going to have to do the whole process over again. And I'm not doing it over again. I'll hold down 2, 3, 4 jobs if I have to. We're not doing this. It's really hard. If a man is not secure enough in his position as a man and in his manhood and standing on his manhood, he's not going to understand me. He's not going to understand what it takes. Not that I need a father, but I need somebody who more understands why I do what I do. Right. I don't think it affects me anymore. It might still, and I don't know about it. But there are still certain things that I do that just like keep me safe. Like when I'm going to my car, I grab onto whatever knife I'm holding because I always have a knife on me. In the rooms, I would have a knife like under the pillow just in case you wanted to act stupid because we can go there. I didn't want to ever. Thank God I never had to use it. It's difficult. Most men don't know how to take a woman being in sex work and value her because she is valuable. She's just doing what she either loves or was taught to do. And if she was taught this, somebody taught her wrong. If she's choosing it for her own life, then that's on her. But if somebody taught her this is wrong. I really wish they would legalize prostitution just so a lot of the girls can get mental help that they need because it's mentally draining on you.
Yeah. Well, it becomes so much safer as well, because it wouldn't be so underground and, on the DL and everything. Like, it would actually
yes,
be able to be like a legitimate business that it needs to be accountable.
And you pay taxes on it. Do you know how much money you can get off... Get so much money off pussy. It's stupid.
Government, take note, please.
Please, dear God, legalize it. It'll help you out. I swear to God. All these potholes in Atlanta, fixed in 1 month. You see what happened in Denver when they legalized marijuana? All things got fixed, and you're like, you have all this money. Duh, stupid.
Yeah.
People are, and that's what people don't understand. People are going to do it anyway.
Right.
They're going to go see prostitutes or strippers or however you want to call them. Not saying all strippers are prostitutes. Most of them, for the majority of them, they will do some strange things for some change. I've seen it. Yeah. Go ahead and legalize it. Go ahead and make it normal. It may not be in your morals, but your morals have nothing to do with somebody else taking care of themselves.
Right.
That's your hang up. Get off our nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
if you don't like prostitution, don't be a prostitute. Yeah.
That's why there's so many other job careers out there. You can go do anything in the world. Just leave.
And the girls are the ones that are hurt in the end.
Mm-hmm. And then they're left with, again, we can get hurt. Nobody says anything. Yeah. Nobody does anything. I remember one time I got hurt pretty bad. Beat up really, oh my God. He almost broke some ribs. And I went to the hospital, and of course, like, what happened? And I told them exactly what happened. And they're like, well, do you really want us to call the cops? Because, you are a prostitute. And I'm like, and I thought about it for a minute, and I thought about all the trouble I can get into because of it. And I'm like, maybe that's not a good idea. Like, so we have to go on hurting without any accountability from the guy. But if it was legalized, I can be like, this is the person that did it. I have a picture of their ID. This is him. Go get him. Mm-hmm. Lock him up. It would be so much easier. But unfortunately, that's not the way the world sees it in most of the world nowadays. Hell, a majority. It's wrong. It's not. I promise you, your dads are doing it anyway.
Right. Or you yourself, you're a fucking hypocrite.
That part. That part.
Yeah. So how has your relationship with yourself, your body, your sexuality changed since you got out?
That's been even harder. Mentally, I'm still traumatized from a lot of things. There's certain places in the city I can't go to. Not that those places are ever good to begin with, but there's certain places I can't. It brings back too much. It makes sex, especially relationships, difficult because the way I see relationships and the way a lot of relationships are, it's money driven. And what can you do for me? I don't like that aspect. I don't like, it's one thing to be in a relationship and ask, your partner needs whatever. But I noticed with a lot of women, they will try to take advantage of men and try to take advantage of their money. I've never been a fan of that. They try to find the nicest guy with the biggest car and the biggest money. That, sweetheart, you were doing the same thing I'm doing. You're just doing it more in a tangible way, like you got things. But for me, I've noticed that trying to connect with someone who understands is probably the hardest. Because again, it's knowing, yeah, you may like me, but at the end of the day, it's something the pimp taught me. A relationship is no different from prostitution. Because at the end of the day, you're both going to fuck each other, and you're both going to go to work, and you're going to come home. And he's going to give you some money for this, that, and the third, or you're going to give him some money for this, that, and the third. And what's the difference?
Yeah. It's transactional in its own way. Yeah.
And that kind of fucked me up, and still to this day fucks me up.
Yeah.
Like, but you're right, but you're wrong.
You're totally wrong. It's a very cynical way of looking at it, for sure.
It is. And it's like, I'll see these guys get interested in me, and it's like, are you interested in me? Or are you interested in what you see? That is the difference. And a lot of people will, and I don't like saying this at all. It drives me insane. I'm not an average looking chick. I know I look good, but I know what everybody else thinks. You're so beautiful. I'd love to have you as my girlfriend. No, you don't. No, you don't. This is a lot of mental issues that you have to deal with on top of daddy issues, on top of my breakdowns and my spin-offs. And it's hard for me to even control them. And I shouldn't expect you to control them either. But on a level, I expect you to, because you are dating me.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with me spinning out of control. You're going to have to deal with the breakdowns that I have. It's not something that I can control. I can't control my brain chemistry when it has panic attacks. In those instances, I need someone for my mental health, not for anything else.
Right.
And a lot of guys can't provide. A lot of men aren't comfortable, from what I've seen, the ones that come to me anyway. But then I've also heard that broken people attract broken people. So I believe that a lot of the men that come to me are broken, and I can sense that, and I don't want any part of it.
Right. You have enough to deal with. Right.
I've got enough crazy, darling. I don't need you helping. It does make it really hard. It's hard for me to trust. Like, I can't trust men the way I used to.
Yeah. I
used to believe, anything a man would say, but now I know better. It's like, okay, what aren't you telling me? What are you keeping from me? And I can see when you are keeping things from me. It's not a comfortable feeling. I don't like it. I'd rather you just tell me the truth, keep it 100. If this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. If we're not, we're not. It's not easy being with someone who has had the past that I've had, or any girl for that matter. It takes a very strong-minded, secure person to deal and understand that she's not spiraling because of any situation. She's spiraling because of her brain. And it's calming that brain down that is the hardest. The panic attacks that I have now are insane. Get to the point where I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't... my vision gets real blurry. And for those instances, I hate to say this out loud, but I need someone for those. But I also need someone to help me through what's going through my head more than a therapist. Because a therapist is all good, great, and wonderful, but they don't know you. They can kind of help you with some techniques, but at the end of the day, if they don't know how you spiral, they're not able to help. One of my exes is actually really good at this. When I start spiraling, he will literally catch me. Mm-hmm. And he's wonderful for that. He's like, you're okay. It's okay. You just need to breathe. And, he makes sure that I get home safe. And I'm like, okay. It's the comfort. Mm-hmm. Trying to find that comfort in knowing that you're safe finally is really difficult. I'm thankful that the internet wasn't what it was years ago, what it is today years ago. because my name and my picture would be plastered everywhere.
Yeah. So now you can just kind of melt back into general society without the repercussions or whatever.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I can walk and nobody knows who I am. But if I was in that life now, it's all over Instagram. It's all over TikTok. It's all over Facebook. You know, you can find ways. And that's the easiest way for everything to spread is through social media. And for some girls, they don't want to be found. And the guy that found me at Lennox, you know, I really wanted to hurt him. But I also have to understand at some point in time, I was a quote unquote public figure. So I guess people had felt like they had access to me and they don't. And it's taken away that is kind of powerful. Like I get to take back and own who I am, what I am. I get to own my sexuality. I get to own all of this. And then you got to figure out who you are past that. That's the hardest part. That's what I've been actually trying to figure out for the past few years is who Lilith is now. She's not the same person that she was 10 years ago. I'll never be. I'm glad that I got out of that. And that was the best thing in my life because I really feel like it was going to end very badly. There's a cost. Of course, there's a cost to everything. And it's just interesting to see who I'm going to be in the next 5 years as I try to figure it out and try to own more of my own sexuality and own who I am and what I am. I was talking to a friend and she was like, you know, you're always this big boss bitch and you talk all this shit. You should be a dominatrix. And I said, interesting. Because I've always kind of like, you know, smacking men around and, you know, making them my bitch anyway.
Right.
Why not? Why can't I have this happen? And the more I start thinking about it and the more I start looking and doing, you know, what research I can, I'm not a fan of doing things by phone. It drives me insane. And that's all I got right now. But once I get a computer, I can do a little bit more research and be like, oh, this is kind of cool. But I really want to dive into that whole, and it's not to disrespect men by no means. If anything, I am empowering men. My job and what I'm understanding it to be, my job is to empower anybody and everybody around me. That's my gift to the world. The women that know me best will sit there and be like, she is just a wonderful spark of light. We just love her to death. The way she builds us up is amazing. I want to build men up the same way. Men, especially a lot of cisgendered men right now, feel like their worlds are crumbling when all they need is a hug from their wife. That's all they're asking for. You know, they're just asking for a little bit of understanding and understand that not all men are strong, like quote unquote strong, like they're supposed to. Right. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Men are supposed to be strong. That is dumb. That is so idiotic. Men have weaknesses too. Yeah. And if I can delve into that, that power of a dominatrix building this man back up, it may look like I'm degrading him right now, but I promise you by the time he leaves, it's going to be a different person. Yeah. That and seeing the change in their eyes, that is...
So have you done any work? It sounds like you already have experienced a little bit of this, yeah?
I have a little bit.
Cool.
I've done a little bit when I was working. I had a couple guys that, you know, wanted me to, you know, make them. My favorite one. He wanted to go walk around some park. Where were we? I think Roswell. Some park at night on a leash.
Very nice.
And I'm just like, okay, fine. I don't have a problem with it.
I'm getting paid to do this. Yes.
It's like, and I need you to kind of like, you know, kind of like beat me up a little bit too while I'm at the dog. I said, so you want me to beat a dog? Like, but you're a human. Say less. Like, I'd be more than happy to sit there and whoop your ass. Like, I sat there and kicked that man. I couldn't. I took all my fucking anger out on this man. It was so much fun. And to see his eyes. Loved it. Yeah. Loved it. He was just like, yes, mistress. Yes, mistress. And I'm like, say it again. Like, I was really tempted to like put some stuff on his balls, but he wasn't into that. Like, and just squeeze shit out. That would have been great. I would have loved that. But it's people. I've got a friend. She's for me doing it, but she's like, but then kind of degrading. No, that's what they're asking for. Right. Like, this is what makes them feel powerful. So why not let me feel powerful in the same sentence? Yeah. This is how I want all this trauma and all this shit to just turn around. So I can now be the powerful woman that I've always been.
And choosing to go back into sex work in a way that you're in control of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to be in control.
I can see that being very healing for you, for sure.
It will be as soon as I can get there.
Yeah.
I just got to get it in my head and get wrapped around, and I got to find places. And
are you fearful at all about stepping back into sex work, even in this completely different way? Or not really?
Yes. Only because I know how some clients can be. I don't want anything happening to me. And that's why I kind of think dominatrix is the way to go, because at the end of the day, they know they're here to service me. It's all me. It's not shit to do. Even if it in 1,000%, it's all on him. But you're here for me. I'm in control. I run this, not you. And it's not like I'm going to have a big security dude at the door anyway. So try if you want to. But I think it would be very therapeutic and to get me back where I need to be on a more power level. I'm tired of lessening myself for others and trying to live this meek, sweet, innocent kind of, I'm doing everything I can. I'm trying so hard. I'm over it. I'm ready to be back and being the boss bitch that I always was. Answering to somebody is all good, great, and wonderful. It teaches you a lot. I have learned so much in the past, 5, 6, 7 years, just being a worker and seeing how different people think and how they act. And it's powerful to be sitting there with a man at your feet, willing to do whatever he wants to make you happy. And he goes back to where he's coming from. Go home.
Yeah.
Send you home. It's going to be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be fun. But it is kind of scary. I don't want anybody finding out where I live or anything like that. Because the one thing I keep telling myself is I will never be a victim again. It will not happen. I'm not doing it. If I got to go down with you, we're going down. Right. I'm not doing this again. Right. So I think with that mentality, I should be fine. But, you never know what the world has for you. And as long as I'm doing it in a safe environment, it should be okay. Shoulda, woulda, couldas always. But for right now, I'm coming up on 40. And it's time for me to get back and get to me. This sweet, innocent little, oh yes, okay, with attitude here and there. And that's all fine, good, great, and wonderful. But I need a little bit more power. I need a little bit more, yes, mistress. Yes, mistress.
Yeah.
Say it again. But I love that whole thing. And I was watching The Munsters the other day. I know I'm very adult, right? And I was just watching the way, Lily would command Herman. And she would do it with such elegance and such grace. Morticia Gomez. The greatest love story ever. Them two are ridiculous. God, I love them. And to see how much power that they had. And it was And the power was given to them. They chose to give the power. So who's really in control here?
Right. Absolutely.
So it's kind of where I'm thinking I'm going. I hope I'm going.
Well, that's exciting.
And
That's really exciting.
I'm super excited about it. I'm going to get there eventually.
Yeah.
Just got to get other things taken care of.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being vulnerable, sharing your story for everyone. And I mean, it's just, it's a side of the world that is not often talked about.
Yes.
And I just very much appreciate you being willing to.
I appreciate you for trying to bring more awareness to other things and understanding that there's stuff in this world that will hurt you. And if you don't know, you don't know. And if some girl out here happens to hear this, and hell, boy, doesn't matter, some person happens to hear this and they start feeling the same way, and they can look for a little bit of strength in me, knowing that life does get better. It's not all harmful and hurtful. It's not supposed to hurt. And something an old pimp once told me, if a man ever has to put his hands on you, he has no control.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
He doesn't have control of himself, his own strength. If he cannot get you to do what you need to do just by words, and he's got to put his hands on you, there's a problem. I wish I would have heard that before that whole situation happened. I would have been a lot more comfortable, and I would have understood things a little bit better. But like I said, if anybody can see the signs, somebody's abusing you, somebody's not treating you right, this isn't right. If you feel in your heart it's not right, it's not right. Yeah. Love should not hurt. Trust should not hurt. You shouldn't be doing something for somebody else because you want them to love you, or you want the respect. You do what you want to do. If you want to go out here and be a prostitute, be a prostitute. Just please, dear God, strap up, make sure you're taken care of, make sure you're screening your clients very well. I don't want you to do this kind of work because it's mentally draining, mentally draining. But just know that it does get better. Stay in it for just a little bit. Get out. It's not safe. It's not safe. It's not safe. This is not a get rich quick. You're going to make a lot of money. No, you're not. You're going to get hurt really bad. Yeah. Especially if you go in there with bad intentions. Don't do it. Don't do it. But if anybody can get a message out of any of this rambling that I've done, just know that it does get better. Life is beautiful. It may not seem it like it at the moment. You might be going through a lot. Life is amazing if you just sit back and just smell the flowers. Everybody's going to get over it. Everybody's going to get through it. It's what you do best.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome, baby. Thank you.
So fucking powerful. I am continuously blown away to listen to her story and the horrors that she had to go through, and the seeming miracle that she was allowed to leave. I'm really, really grateful that she was able and willing to share her story with us so that we can have a better understanding of things that still happen today. And I am also grateful to know that her story is ultimately one of hope and beauty, and that she has recreated her life for herself in a beautiful, positive way. For me personally, this was a really important conversation to have because I am so in the sex world, very sex positive world. So I am constantly upholding sex work as positive and beautiful and empowering, and trying to dismantle the stereotypes and stigma around it, right? And trying to legitimize it as a real fucking job. But this conversation definitely helps keep me in check in recognizing not all sex work is positive. Not all sex workers want to be doing it. And it can come from a very terrible place, and terrible, terrible things happen all the fucking time around the world right this second. And it is a true tragedy. And so while I do find it important to continue to empower sex workers who enjoy their work and choose to do it of their own free will, it's also important to keep the opposite in mind as well, and do all that we can to shine light on those stories and do what we can to help those people stuck in terrible situations, and hopefully work on trying to change legislation to sex workers so that they can have more resources and be able to get out or protect themselves in better ways. So yeah, thank you again, Lilith. I really, really appreciate you. Next episode, I am talking to Kobe in Macon, Georgia, and she is a trans woman who grew up in the South, and she talks all about her story and, where she's at today. So I hope you guys join me next episode when I talk to Kobe. And yeah, I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your week. And in the meantime, stay awesome, friends.